What's in season? What's in season? What's in season? I hear you ask. Leeks, everybody. Yes, leeks are in season at this time of year, and we didn't grow any because we don't really have the room in the garden, but when I get my allotment I will be growing leeks, definitely. I even have the varieties I'm going to be growing. However, tonight I am going to cook a risotto with leeks and bacon, and in this risotto we have obviously a leek, and this is a large one. It was one of these biggies here. A leek finely chopped. We've got some lovely bacon from the butchers that we go to here in our town, and it is from a bacon chop, and that has been chopped up. But you need about, I would say, about 4 or 5 rashers of bacon. You can use the back bacon, you can use streaky bacon, it really doesn't matter as long as it's bacon. It doesn't have to be smoked, it could be just plain bacon as well, but I do like smoked. I come from a European family and I do like most things smoked. We have 2 cloves of garlic crushed as well. Obviously a very, well, it doesn't have to be very good, but I do like a nice quality risotto rice. You can use arborio. I use this cannaroli rice, which is beautiful. It cooks really, really lovely, Italian variety. But you do need a short grain rice for risotto, even though I must say, my father was Italian and my mum used to always just cook it with long grain rice, funnily enough. Anyhow, then we have white wine, which I have resisted taking a sip of. We have a little bit of oil to start off with, and then we're going to put goat's cheese in it. So this risotto is a little bit different. You saw in the picture that there was some sage leaves as well, and they're just going to be sprinkled on top. So risotto, I'm going to do it on the stove, but you can actually cook it in the oven if you want to. If you want to be a little bit lazy, you can cook risotto in the oven. I just don't think it gets that creaminess that you need. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to fry some sage leaves, and I brought this in about 5 minutes ago and it had snow and ice all over it. So we're going from snowy, icy sage leaves to fried sage leaves. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So I've heated in here some olive oil, and you don't need to use olive oil. You could use rapeseed oil or vegetable oil or sunflower oil. And I've taken the leaves off the stalks, but you know, if you buy the leaves in a store, you can buy sage leaves in a store, fresh sage leaves. And I'm just going to cook this for a few minutes till they get crispy. Doesn't take long to do this. And I mean, this, you don't have to do this, but it's quite nice. Fried sage leaves are beautiful as a garnish because they do go crunchy after we've cooked them. So I'm just going to leave them there for a minute, and when they're done I'm going to pop them in here on some kitchen towel, and then I will be back. In goes the bacon. And we're going to cook this until it goes nice and crispy. And then if you want, you can take half out or maybe a third out and then sprinkle it on top. But I think I'm going to just leave the sage leaves for on top, and I'll just show you those sage leaves. There we are. So they're going to drain, and I can feel they're already crispy. Yeah, so we'll do the bacon, and I'm going to leave it all in, and then when that's done, that then comes out and we continue the process. Alright, so the bacon's done. I'll just show you. I didn't overdo it because this is just such beautiful bacon here. So I just, yeah, doesn't it look yum yum? So yeah, that's done. Now, if you want, you can leave some bacon in there, but it will break up when we start doing the risotto. So in goes the leek. And I'm going to cook this. It's probably will take about 5 minutes until I get the consistency I actually want. I've got a little bit of oil left in here. I just saw a little bit of oil left in this ramekin. I'm just going to put that in there, just so it doesn't stick. And this is, yeah, it will take about 5 minutes. Okay, so the leek has coloured up beautifully from the bacon fat, which is what we wanted, and has wilted down really nicely. To that we then add the garlic, 2 cloves of crushed garlic. You can chop it if you want, you don't have to crush it. Now with garlic, don't let it burn, just keep stirring. I've got this heat on about medium at the moment. I'm going to turn it up in a minute, and I'm just stirring this. You stir it for about a minute, but try not to burn it because it tastes awful when it's burnt. So, that looks good, doesn't it? Beautiful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. To that, I then add the rice. That goes in. Now, if you don't want to use rice, this recipe also goes very, very well with pearl barley. So you can use that instead. We're just going to turn the heat up slightly now. So the whole idea of stirring in the rice like this is so that it gets coated in that lovely fat that we've got going. And like I said, if you don't want to use rice, by the way, this was 250 grams of rice, it'll be enough to feed, depends on how big an appetite you've got in your family, but I would say about 4 people. But if you don't want to use rice, you can use pearl barley, you can use spelt barley as well, which is really nice, it's, you know, really good. So that's been cooking, and as it's cooking, I keep turning up the heat all the way because the next addition is the wine. We have 150 ml of white wine. Again, you don't have to do this, you don't have to use wine at all if you don't want to. But what I like about wine is it gives a sweetness to the dish. We don't always use wine in our risottos. We use stock, but wine is very, very nice. And you could use vermouth if you want to. That makes it even sweeter. So this is gonna. So now I've turned it up to full heat. I'm going to let this bubble. You can see it's bubbling, and you reduce it, I would say, by half. You don't want to reduce it completely, but you reduce it by half. And what's happening is the rice is starting to cook. Now we start with the stock, and it's, well, is it important? Yes, I suppose it is. It's quite important to put in warm stock, because when if you put in cold stock, something happens to the rice actually. It kind of seizes and you lose the gluten, doesn't come out, and you don't get this creaminess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep stirring, and that is the whole thing about risotto, is that you keep stirring unless you put it in the oven. And if I was going to put this in the oven, what I would do is I would put all of the stock. I'm using vegetable stock, and there's about 800 ml of vegetable stock to this amount of rice. I would put all of the stock in this pan, give it a little stir until you can see it starts to reduce. And then I would transfer that into a heated oven, and the oven has been heated to 200 degrees Celsius or 180 fan or gas mark 6, and you put it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Make sure it's covered with something, and the stock will then absorb into the rice. You take it out, give it a stir, and it should be ready. But I do like this kind of manual risotto. It doesn't take long to cook a risotto actually, yeah, it's quite therapeutic. So I was just having a discussion with my cameraman, who is also a self-styled risotto man, expert. And he said to me that when he makes risotto, he only puts in 1 ladleful at a time of stock. And I put in like 2 or 3. And I don't know, maybe it's a laziness, but I just like to have a little bit more volume of liquid. And then I just keep stirring all the time. So I've tasted this now, and for me, the rice is done. I mean, risotto's all about stir, stir, stir for about 20 minutes and then taste the rice. And a lot of people say that when the rice is still opaque in the center, it's not ready. But I do like a little bit of nuttiness in my rice. I hate overdone risotto rice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of sage from the garden, chopped sage, just a little bit. I didn't put it in earlier because it could go a little bit bitter. That's going to go in. Now this is fresh, I haven't fried this. And then I add goat's cheese. Risotto is normally a lot about butter and a lot about Parmesan, but I thought, well, let's go a little bit healthier and let's do goat's cheese. So in goes the goat's cheese. This is a soft goat's cheese. It's got no rind on it, and I just got it from the supermarket. And I'm going to put about 3/4 of it in, which will be about 80 to 100 grams. This is a 125 gram pack. I've taken it off the heat. The heat is stopped, and we're going to give it a bit of a stir here. Oh, that looks great. I'm thinking I might put a bit more green in, which is the sage, but because I've got a thing about having always green in your food. And that looks beautiful. Let me just taste it because I haven't seasoned it yet. Beautiful. Black pepper, coarse pepper. Again, I love coarse pepper. And look how much I'm putting in. Little bit of salt, tiny bit of salt. And then I'm thinking chili. So on the top of it, I might put a few chili flakes. But actually that was enough goat's cheese. I'm going to plate it up and I will show you what it looks like. So cheers everybody. Just having a little... That's it. There's my sage leaves on top that I did earlier. They're a bit dark, but it doesn't really matter. And I'm thinking that I'm going to put some chili on top as well, but what a great dish that is. Beautiful. And gluten-free, of course. Very nice. So thank you again for watching me, and if you liked what I did, give me the thumbs up, and also it'd be nice if you could subscribe, because I will be continuing doing my What's in Season I Hear You Ask with everything that's available this time of year. There's quite a lot available. See you next time. What's in season? What's in season?